Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Aquarian Wisdom Center and Retreat, I bid you all welcome. It's good to have you here with us. Just a small information: the full moon is tomorrow, the 29th. At least the time that I checked on the Royal Observatory of Greenwich, it's 10:58. I'm not sure it's correct or not, but if it's not, Philip will correct me. Well, during the meeting, if you want to say anything or ask a question, please use the chat box as usual. And that's it. Without further ado, let's start the Libra full moon meeting. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you very much, Inez. Yes, the time is 9:57 a.m., not 10:57, as I put in my newsletter. Someone brought my attention to it recently. Quite often with astrology programs, when you choose Greenwich Mean Time, it still adds British summertime time to it. So time is 9:57 a.m. tomorrow GMT. So you can work that time out from wherever you are. But London time, which of course is just a few miles away, is actually British summertime. So it's 10:57 in Britain and in parts of Western Europe like Portugal. So anyway, welcome to this full moon meditation. I think we have some excellent astrological potencies to help us visualize tonight in the meditation. The moon in Pisces exactly conjunct Neptune. Of course, it's going to be in Aries tomorrow, the moon, opposite the sun. But tonight, we have Neptune moon conjunction, and Neptune is known for its ability to visualize and to download impressions that come in meditation. So let us, in the meditation, avail ourselves of those forces. But first of all, we will talk about the Libra for a bit. I'm just going to share my screen and find, there it is. This is the page of my so-called occasional newsletter. They're becoming very occasional lately, but they're still a no-frills newsletter. I simply just don't have the time to put all the pictures in and do more elaborate articles. But I may come back to this sometime next year. But I thought I put this one out because I was inspired at the last moment to write something about Libra, the scales, the balance. And I'm not sure whether everyone has read this yet. Oh, by the way, is my sound okay? I'm using a new microphone here.
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
It sounds good.
So far, so good. Fingers crossed. I seem to have a permanent Mercury retrograde in my life. Anyway, Libra is the sign of three major themes, as we all well know, that the Tibetan discusses in esoteric astrology: the law, sex, and money. And the law, in terms of universal law, how that translates as earthly laws, as the laws of occult knowledge, for instance. In the blue books by the Tibetan, the Alice Bailey books, he mentions there are several books which have rules and laws. The rules of the road, we call them. In the Treatise on White Magic, Rays and Initiations, in Initiation Human and Solar, to name a few of the books that have these rules for applicants or rules for aspirants to the ashram or to the candidates for initiation or the path of discipleship. So that's one thing that Libra refers to, is the universal law, the esoteric laws, the earthly laws that are somewhat of a distortion, but more or less appropriate, approximate, I should say, to those universal laws, such as the Ten Commandments, for instance, in Christianity, and all the other laws in other religions. So, sex, of course, is a major theme of Libra, even though most people think of Scorpio. They're both signs related to sex. In fact, the Libra Aries axis and the Scorpio Taurus axis are probably the four main signs related to sex. But of course, all the signs related to sex, because all humans are sexual beings. And so the theme of marriage and relationships, which sex is one of the first magnetic factors that draw people together, is a key theme of Libra. And Libra is prominent in the planetary horoscope at this point in history, we're told by the Tibetan again. And hence the balancing of the scales, the Libran scales, with regard to the right use of sex and the appreciation of the importance of staying engaged in friendship and relationship and marriage, long-term relationship. And of course, so what we've seen in the last several decades is probably the highest divorce rate in history. I'm not quite sure what the figures are in other centuries, but and of course the sexual revolution from the 60s onwards, the birth control and all those kind of things, that has now morphed into the alphabet sex, LGBTQ plus this, plus that, plus this, in a way that's gone where the scales of Libra have swung too far in one direction. And this has caused a lot of gender confusion, and I identify as this or I identify as that. And of course, the pandemic of pornography, which is you can see many articles online about this now, about how the damage that's being done to young children being exposed to it, through to teenagers, through to adults, of course. And this is the most extreme this theme of sex has reached in living memory, and it is part of the balancing of the scales. The scales are gradually swinging back to center again over the next few decades, and a lot of these issues will be resolved. So we have the law in terms of Libra, and the scales in terms of making a decision. Libra is a sign of decision, of balancing the scales so that the middle point of balance and harmony is reached, and one can make a decision using the judicial mind. Note that word judicial. It's like judge, and of course Libra is the judge, or the law, represents the law, the legal framework. And using the judicial mind to make a decision. And this is similar to the keynotes of Libra that I talk about in this newsletter. Libra is the balance for the unawakened humanity on the ordinary wheel. The keynote is let choice be made. The most important injunction as our planetary crisis lurches towards the momentous year of 2025. Keynote for those who are soul infused is I choose the way that leads between the two great lines of thought. So these two keynotes lead from being enjoined to make a choice, let choice be made, to actually making a choice, reflecting how millions today are waking from their slumber to the guiding light of their soul. And so Libra also controls the reversal of the wheel in the life of every aspirant in the cycle of lives a point of balance is reached and a relative equilibrium is achieved. And I think we're seeing millions on the planet today reversing the wheel. In other words, moving from the mutable cross experience of basically personality development onto the fixed cross, the cross of love, and the cross of the soul, as it's also known. So the third main theme of Libra, as many of you who read the newsletter will know, is money. And Libra is the scales that weighs the harvest of the previous sign Virgo, the Virgin, the Northern Hemisphere symbolism of the harvest which is taking place now all around Europe, of course, of wheat, of barley, of rye, of oats, of corn. You see the harvesters out everywhere taking in the crop, and they will go and sell it, store it or sell it or exchange it, barter and exchange. And Libra rules that process of weighing in the balance how much the crop on one side and the balance on the other side to see how many kilos it is, and then an exchange takes place for other goods or for cash or for gold or silver or whatever. And of course, the third ray, which is the only ray to come through Libra, the ray of active intelligence, is the ray of money. The seventh ray of ceremonial order, which Libra is associated with, is the ray of finance, which is about the organization of money. So they are both closely related, these two rays. And of course, the ruler of the seventh ray, Uranus, is in fact the sole ruler of Libra. I'm not going to go into all the detail of what I wrote here, but just a few important points. Taurus is another sign of money and sex, the desire of the bull, for instance, and the acquisition of money, of material things, of possessions at its lowest level. At its higher level, with its rulership of Venus that rules Libra as well, we have the acquisition of higher knowledge that is transformed into wisdom. And so at the moment, we have the two rulers in this full moon horoscope of Libra, Venus and Uranus, in exact square to each other in the heavens, from Venus in Leo to Uranus in Taurus. And I talk about how this is creating a point of tension with both these signs related to money and possessions. Let me see what I say here. Venus is currently in Leo, a sign of gold, like the golden hue of this sun's sun rulership. Uranus is in Taurus, a sign traditionally related to silver due to the exaltation of the moon in this sign. However, Taurus is related to gold esoterically, and I'm quoting the Tibetan here, the golden eye of Taurus points the way to those who likewise see. That which is gold will someday too respond, passing from east to west in that dire time when the urge to gather gold shall rule the lower half, that is the personality. The search for gold, the search for golden light divine directs the bull of life, the bull of form. These two must meet, and meeting clash, thus vanishes the gold. Indeed, and I talk about the previous age of Taurus several thousand years ago, where humanity worshipped the golden calf. They fell down before the idol of materialism and were trapped in that whole paradigm of possession, of theft of land, of other people's goods. All these are old Atlantean crimes, indeed. So we still have much to learn with regard to money and the transformation of the money system, which in my 2018 newsletter on the ingress of Uranus into Taurus for 7 years to 2025, I mentioned would be could bring on a revolution in the money system. And indeed, we've seen cryptocurrencies coming in, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, suggested or imposed. And we've seen mainly a selfish bid to change the money system in favor of the big bank. So again, as sex is a major problem, as the law is a major problem, all these three themes of Libra are extraordinarily big problems right now, because they've all been demoted or degraded in their expression. We no longer have a democracy. Most people don't realize that yet. We think we live in a democracy. But any democratic gains we made in the last century have been eroded in the last few years, where world governments have done what they please, have been dictated to by corporate entities, and humanity has been told what to do without any argument, without having a vote or a say in the matter. So we've come to a point in our evolution where the issue of one of the four major freedoms, the freedom of speech, is coming to a head. We're getting these independent media people like Russell Brand and Max Blumenthal and a whole bunch of other people, Jimmy Dore, all getting shut down, demonetized on their various platforms because they are not conforming to the mainstream narrative that's being imposed. This is extraordinary, and it's so blatant, and it's been going on, well, for maybe over a decade or more, but has really stepped up the pace in the last 3 or 4 years since 2020 and the pandemic and so forth. So this issue of choice is so paramount with humanity at the moment. If humanity don't make choices and stand up for themselves, they are going to be overrun by all these narratives that have been imposed in the last few years. And so what we're looking at here is a sense of Uranian revolution. Uranus was discovered in 1781 between the American and French revolutions, and is a sign of radical reform and change. And I think when it goes into Gemini, even in late Taurus as it is now, in the next couple of years, we may well see some major revolutions in thought, in throwing people out of power who have been abusing their power, and so forth. And this is the action of Libra, with the esoteric rulership of Uranus working out in the world. So I mentioned that quite often financial crashes and crises occur in Libra historically, and that it is on the cards for this month of October, that may happen again. There's already been rumblings about that from international bodies like the International Monetary Fund and other dubious organizations that are kind of making warning signs before they drop the hammer, so to speak. So we'll see what turns up. So we all need to be prepared for any of these. The next card that the manipulators of humanity are going to play. So I mentioned money. I mentioned radical relationships. This Venus square Uranus is about making some radical changes in personal relationships, group relationships, and national relationships, and global relationships. Traditionally, this aspect can stimulate an exciting love life that departs from existing commitments and an Uranian need for independence that does not resonate with social traditions, etc., etc. The challenge to the authority of science is the third thing I mentioned. Venus being the ruler of the fifth ray of science or knowledge. Of course, the third ray which comes through Libra, the ray of active intelligence, so prominent in the information technology industry, along with the fifth ray in terms of physical inventions of devices, phones, hardware, all that kind of stuff. And what we've seen in the last few years is a split between so-called scientific authority of a minority backed by big media and big pharma versus the, by far, I think, a majority of thousands and thousands of scientists and medical experts who were not allowed an argument. Again, this factor of free speech, who were not allowed to argue another point of view or present another side of the story. Libra is about fairness and justice, and we have seen none of that in the last few years. So we're told, as I said before, Libra is prominent in the planetary horoscope at the moment as in this bridging between the two ages of Pisces and Aquarius. And excuse me, it must come into a much stronger expression with regard to all these themes that I've been discussing tonight. Humanity must choose the way that leads between the two great lines of force, exercise mental discrimination. And these are two mental planets. Venus rules the fifth ray of science or knowledge, and Uranus is regarded as the planet of exoteric science. I'm not going to read out the quote there. You can read it for yourself if you haven't done so already. So these are some of the main themes that I've been reflecting upon the last few days. And I think that should be enough to stimulate us, to get us onto the mental plane with regard to our full moon meditation this evening. So I'm going to turn off my video and excuse me, find the meditation here. Just a moment. Have that opened. All right. I'm going to share my screen again so you can follow the meditation on the screen if you want to, but you don't have to, of course. Just a moment. Stop that share. And we start a new share. And there we are. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen. So let us,
Yes.
thank you. Let's all quiet ourselves down a little bit. Take a long, deep breath and release all the physical tension in the body. Letting go of all the activity of the day so far. Becoming aware of the inner place of peace, silence. and that many of our brothers and sisters around the world today, tonight, are meditating on this Libra solar festival. We can imagine the triangular network of light encompassing the globe, lighting it up, all the nodal points that we as individuals and groups represent, all the relationships we have with friends and co-workers all around the world. And so as we sound 3 ohms for personal and group alignment, we visualize this extensive etheric grid illuminating the planet, illuminating humanity as we prepare to do our work as the new group of world servers, mediating between the hierarchy and humanity. We open ourselves to impression. Page 1, group fusion. We affirm the fact of group fusion and integration within the heart center of the new group of world servers, mediating between hierarchy and humanity. We sound the formula for group integration. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. Again, we visualize the vast lighted triangular network reaching around the planet. In all nations, through all cities, through all communities. Stage 2, one. We project a line of lighted energy towards the spiritual hierarchy of the planetary heart, great ashram, Sanakumara, and towards the Christ, who sits at the center of the heart of hierarchy. And then we extend the line of light towards Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. Shambhala, the planetary head center where the will of God is known. Hierarchy, the planetary heart. Stage 3, higher interlude. Hold the contemplative mind open to the extraplanetary energies streaming into Shambhala and radiated through hierarchy. The extraplanetary energy streaming to Shambhala, radiated through hierarchy. And using your creative imagination, endeavor to see the three planetary centers, Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, gradually coming into alignment and interplay. Shambhala, hierarchy, humanity, the head, heart, and throat centers of this planet. Visualizing that interplay that is taking place through the subsequent alignment. And of course, the role of the new group of world servers, the bridge of light or the outer Karana between hierarchy and humanity. So now we reach stage 4 meditation, reflecting upon the seed thought for Libra. I choose the way that leads between the two great lines of thought. I choose the way that leads between the two great lines of thought. Let us reflect upon this keynote for a few minutes. And as we visualize our own choices to be made individually, we can also visualize the choices that humanity can make once sufficiently informed. Choose the way that leads between the two great lines of thought. Stage 5, precipitation. Using the creative imagination, visualize the energies of light, love, and the will to good pouring throughout the planet and becoming anchored on Earth in prepared physical flame centers through which the plan can manifest. We use the six-fold progression of divine love, the sequence of energy precipitation from Shambhala to hierarchy, Christ, the new world servers, men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world, and the physical centers of distribution. Be it a church, a temple, a retreat, becoming anchored on Earth. And so we visualize this precipitation through the 6 stages from Shambhala down. We open ourselves to receive and transmit these forces. Visualize precipitation of love and light around the entire planet, being absorbed with the triangular etheric grid within the aura of the Earth. Stage 6, lower interlude. Refocus the consciousness as a group within the periphery of the great ashram of the Christ, and together sound the affirmation: in the center of all love I stand. From that center I, the soul, will outward move. From that center I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Visualize the downpouring spiritual inflow released from Shambhala through the hierarchy and streaming into humanity through our prepared channel. And consider how these inpouring energies are establishing the pathway of light, the coming world teacher, the Christ. And just for a moment, reflect on the masters themselves, connecting with them and their ashram, which we are all gravitating towards, depending on our soul range, so forth. Is forming intervals or opportunities to connect with the ashram and all our co-workers. In our shared service. As the great invocation is sounded, visualize the outpouring of light and love and power from the spiritual heart, pouring through the 5 planetary inlets: New York, London, Geneva, Darjeeling, Tokyo, from those 5 planetary centers being distributed to the 5 major continents of the planet. And running through the electrical spheric grid of triangles between all groups and individuals who serve the plan. And so we sound the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know. So from the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out. May it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Om. 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 Restore the plan on earth. Thank you very much. Now, some of you may want to make a comment, ask a question, or perhaps just retain the piece of the meditation. So I invite anyone to put their hand up if they want to say something, and you can say it live on the microphone or share. Well, I hope the meditation was a powerful one for you. I think we'll conclude our meeting, and therefore I will hand it back over to you, Inez. Good night, everyone, and God bless for the full moon tomorrow. See you on the inner planes.
Thank you, Philip. See you all next month.